Mr. Bitterstock declared, puffing out the chest of his paisley-patterned waistcoat. She supposed he had to posture, somehow. He was not terribly imposing, being of middling height, with brown hair combed to one side of a narrow face and sharp blue eyes, but she knew Lucy found his tenor voice delightful. How sweet, Kitty told him. Request a hand in marriage like a proper suitor, and stop making me stay up late. She thought she sounded rather forceful, waspish even. Like Mr. Bitterstock, she had to do something to enforce her rule. She wasn't much taller than Lucy, and her brown eyes could look soft and sweet, or so she had been told. Confidence in playing chaperone was key. But her stern demeanour was not enough to dissuade Mr. Bitterstock. He put his right arm about Lucy's waist. "Now see here," he told Kitty, eyes as cold as the stars that dotted the night sky. "You cannot stop us. You're nothing but an old raisin, shrivelled on the vine. The only reason you're interfering is you can't abide to see other people happy." The comment cut, but she wasn't about to let him see it. "Oh, stand down, puppy," Kitty returned, wondering what had happened to Bollers. "Raisin I may be, but at least I have the sense God gave me. What of you? You claim to love Lucy, yet you're willing to steal her away from the bosom of her family, risk her safety by driving through the night on roads unknown to you and your team, and deny her the one shining moment of a young woman's life, her wedding day." Lucy's lower lip trembled. "I did so want a pretty wedding gown, Clive." "Don't listen to her," Bitterstock warned, tightening his hold on Lucy's waist. "She's trying to trick us." "If you consider truth trickery," Kitty allowed. He scowled at her. "You're a bully, madam, but I wager you wouldn't stand so tall before a real threat." He stepped away from Lucy and raised his fist. Kitty stared at him. He'd strike her? None of the men she'd confronted before had done more than protest. Where was that blasted footman? Bitterstock stomped down the stairs, head lowered like a bull's and mouth set. He expected her to run, to cower. She would do neither. She braced herself, feet pressed into the gravel, ready to dodge or throw up her arms to block him if she must. He reared back his fist, and a hand materialized out of the darkness and seized it up before the pup could make good on his threat. She thought surely Bollers had arrived, but the arm attached to that hand and the broad shoulders above it had better lines than the footman's, and were clothed in a fine green coat. Where the footman wore a powdered wig, her rescuer had hair the colour of darkest chocolate, and eyes to match. Besides, she would never forget those handsome features, arranged as if by a sculptor's hand. The sight of the face that had haunted her dreams for a decade rocked Kitty more surely than any blow. "I wouldn't do that if I were you," he said to Bitterstock. "I have it on good authority that she bites." Quentin Adair watched Kitty Chapworth wash white. How odd that the first person he should meet on returning to Chapworth Grange was the last person he'd seen before being exiled from it 10 years ago. "Adair," she said, her voice a ghost of the one she'd been using on the young man beside him. "In the flesh," he promised. "And whose elopement are you attempting to ruin this time?" The young man wrenched his hand from Quentin's grip. "This is none of your concern, sir. You have no right to interfere in my affairs." Another movement caught Quentin's eye. A tall, imposing footman wrestled his way out of the bushes and tugged down his coat before going to stand, self-importantly, behind Kitty. "I believe a gentleman has every right to intervene when a lady might be in danger," Quentin replied to the young upstart in front of him. "Indeed, I think it the duty of every gentleman or lady. Wouldn't you agree, Miss Chapworth?" "Quite," Kitty snapped, sounding more like her usual determined self. The footman standing at attention behind her likely had helped her regain her composure. The fellow would have been more menacing if his black coat hadn't been speckled with leaves and his powdered wig askew. "Although Mr. Bitterstock seems to have forgotten the rules of good society," Kitty was continuing, "a gentleman courts a lady properly and seeks her family's permission before marrying her." Was she attempting to remind Quentin of his failings? The little blonde in the Folly must have had other ideas, for she hurried.